Head coach of the Saint X Tigers. That that's still weird. I'm sorry. That's still weird. Head coach Kevin Wallace, former head coach of the Bowling Green Purples. That sounds much better.
Well, it's change in life, man. We all have changes, and that was one that was a very difficult decision for me and my family. And I have a little corny saying all the time, Adam, that you can't spend your life looking in the rearview mirror. And so when we decided to go, you have to make the best of the situation. There were things that I really missed about Bowling Green, people I really missed in Bowling Green. Uh, and this is such a different environment and different place. And there's so many great things about St. X. It's a wonderful educational institution that has had a great history in both academics and athletics. And but Louisville in itself is a different place. This is a very difficult job. It's expansive. I equate it sometimes. I'm not a business guy, but I equate it to running a small business. I've got about 200 players and 30 coaches, and you manage that. I don't think that you ever really get control of it, but you have to manage that. And I wish I had a staff like a small college had, because I don't have an equipment manager, I don't have an SID, and I don't have a secretary. So it's a lot more time consuming because of the numbers than what I envisioned.
Right, right. Well, speaking of Bowling Green, obviously, let's go back to where it started. You were assistant coach at your alma mater at Warren East, and then became head coach. And is it a 40-year run now? Is that
It's my 40th year as a head coach. I actually started coaching in the fall of 1981. Um, um, I didn't really have any great plans on getting into education, and thought I was probably going to try to go to law school. Jim Ross, who was my head coach at Warren East, got a hold of me, asked me if I'd be interested in coaching, and it was like a bug that bit me. Something that I decided I really love doing, and I appreciate Coach Ross giving me that opportunity. And so I was an assistant there in 81, 82, and 83. In the spring of 84, I became the head baseball coach at Warren East. And then Coach Ross resigned late in the summer of 84. And at 23 years old, I was a head coach of two different sports. And I think I'm lucky that they didn't put me in jail. I didn't know what I was doing. And, just, somehow lived my way through it and made my way through it. And had some good people to support me, and really enjoyed my time. While I was there, we had some really good success in baseball, and I really have good relationships with all those people who played for me at that time. Because really, not a whole lot of difference in our ages now.
right, right? And how was it taking over for your alma mater and as the head football coach? I'm sure that had to be like pretty special for you.
I think I was just young and dumb and didn't realize, how big of a job it was going to be. And um, we didn't have, our program wasn't in the best of shape. We didn't have a whole lot of assistant coaches. You were always fighting numbers in terms of football. And fortunate enough to have a little bit of success early on. And was there 10 years as the head football coach. I was there. I think I did baseball for 7 years. Had a Final Four appearance in baseball in 1988. I'll give you an interesting story. I know I'm going to break off the timeline here, but uh, one of my better players that signed with the University of Kentucky on that 88 baseball team was Jeffrey Whitney. And Jeff's career in baseball ended with an arm injury as a pitcher. And he went on to become an attorney, and he's now one of the leading sports and entertainment uh, agents. He's based out of Washington, D.C. And just to tell you the time gap of how you can still have an impact and putting people together, Jeff is Jordan Meredith's agent. And of course, Jordan Meredith played for me,
Mhm.
graduated in 2017 from Bowling Green, playing with the Las Vegas Raiders. And it was really unique trying to, getting an opportunity to put those two guys together. And They think a world of each other. Jeffrey's done a great job representing Jordan, and Jordan, of course, fought his way through being a guy who got cut, kept being on practice squads, and now looks like he's going to be the starting center for the Raiders. So I have a lot of admiration for Jordan, but also Jeffrey gave him a lot of help trying to continuing to get him into camps along the way.
Small world, man.
Yeah,
That's an awesome story. So after Warren East, I was actually in the stands at Old Cardinal Stadium, both 94 and 95. 94, not so fun, came up a little short. 95, Bowling Green's first championship. You were assistant coach under Dan Haley during that time. What did Dan Haley mean to you?
I got my coaching career backwards. The 10 years I spent as a head football coach, it was kind of a trial and error type of deal. I didn't really understand a lot about organization of a program. I kind of self-taught a lot of things about football, but in terms of attention to detail and organization and management of a program, it was like getting a master's degree when I went to work for Coach Haley. I learned more about football in those 2 years than I ever imagined I could learn. I think he was as detail oriented as anybody I've ever been around. Learning about teaching footwork, learning about how important the eyes and body placement in every position of football and why that's important, and just kind of absorbed all that. And it's kind of unique, Adam, that you play against somebody and you don't really have that type of relationship where and there was an age gap too where you're really close. But um, not only did I gain a lot of respect, but the personal impact that he had on me and the relationship that we had after that was really unique. When he came back to Western and Coach Taggart hired him on as a part time guy, my son Ryan was there coaching, and so it was just kind of unique the impact that what Ryan got to see out of Coach Haley and the impact he's had. So I think that when you look at the success that Bowling Green has had, it's a lineage of Dan Haley. I was an assistant under Dan. Mark Spader was an assistant under Dan. So I think that Mark will probably say many of the same things that I'm saying about the impact that he had on us. And there are an awful lot of wins that have occurred after Dan left, but he left a huge legacy on the Purple's football program.
Of course, you were a part of a lot of those wins. After 95, after Dan retired, you take over as head coach of Bowling Green, and it took a little bit. We were close a lot of times, and then especially the consecutive, runner up, runner. It's like you were right on the cusp. What was it like to finally win that first championship under your watch for Bowling Green?
Well, I got tired of being called Marv Levy, continuing to be a runner up. But it's unique that you almost were relieved to win. So it wasn't necessarily joy. I think when that game was over, that 2011 team was a really good football team, and quite honestly, the state championship game was probably the state semifinal. We played John Harden. They were undefeated and had a lot of college football players on that football team, and we had an extraordinary first quarter where they turned the ball over 3 times and put us in great field position. And the first quarter got over with, and you look up at the scoreboard, and it's 35-0. And no way in the world you expected that game to happen like that. And I remember when we flipped the ends of the field at the end of the first quarter. I remember looking at Steve Dotson and saying, "We just want a state championship." And you hate to really feel that way as a head coach because you want to stay in the moment, but you really felt that you're going to go on and win. And obviously, we won pretty easily in the state finals against Anderson County, but it was more relief because we had gotten beat in 6, 7, and 8. I thought we had a team that could compete for a state championship in '09. Our best player, Jay Beard, got hurt. And then Jay got hurt again in 10. And I don't say that to feel sorry for me or feel sorry for our football team. The great tragedy of that is that Jay Beard lost a great football career, because he was going to be, an outstanding player, college football player, and to suffer two knee injuries back to back years was, really hard on him and his family. But it had an impact on our football program as well. And then, we went through the stretch of winning it in 11, 12, and 13. Uh, got upset in the regional final of 14, then come back and win it in 15, 16. So that stretch really, when you go from 2007 all the way through 2016, was a unique, really powerful stretch for us. You even go back to the years of 03 and 04. We went undefeated in regular season, got beaten in the playoffs. When I first took the job, we had a really good team in '98. They got upset at Wagner, 28-27 in the state semifinal. Um, we would have played Highlands in the final. That would have been the Jerry Lorenzen, Derek Smith team.
Mhm.
That was a very dominant Highlands team. I'm not sure that we would have won a state championship, but I think we would have all enjoyed that opportunity to get a chance to compete for that. So I think the losses kind of stand out more to you. You remember more about what happened in the games that you lose than you do the ones that you win. And there's so many little things that happened in that '98 game that you would love to have seen changed. And tough losses, and got beat in the playoffs in '99 and 2000 by Owensboro both years. And the ironic part of that, since 2000, since that loss in 2000, I think Bowling Green has only lost to Owensboro twice. We got beat by them in the playoffs in '08, and I think Bowling Green lost to them in Coach Spader's first year in '18 in the playoffs. And that's the only two losses for Owensboro. And the irony, obviously, is we're getting ready to open the season uh, against the Red Devils. And I also think that might be the only team that I have coached against at all three of the places I've been. That when I was at Warren East, we were in the same district with Owensboro for 4 years. And then obviously we had really good success against them at Bowling Green. And then we've played them. We played them in 2021 and 22 here, and we're going to play them again this season.
So yeah, to after your run at Bowling Green, that stretch from 11 to 17 where you have five state championships and then make the decision to take the job at St. X. Just give me a little insight of, you know, why leave when you had such a great run, and was it just the next challenge, or tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think there's two different really segments of why that decision was made. And one is that I'd already retired, and I was working as an aide inside the school system, and Mr. Fields had given me an opportunity to do that, and uh, so getting an opportunity to go to St. X was going to be a big financial windfall for me. To continue to get my retirement check and then to get a salary that really there wasn't any way in a public school that they could create something for me to do while I'm collecting my retirement. So from a financial standpoint, it was a decision that I thought could impact my family. Um, and then you kind of hinted at what you said. 6A football is a different animal. Uh, Trinity's been so dominant really the last 20 years. And there's just a feeling inside of me that I want to see if I can win at the highest level. And um, that was, I don't know if that was a smart thought process or not. Because, like I said, when I got here, I think in '18 that, we beat Trinity and Mayo both in the regular season. We lost our top two quarterbacks. We went into the playoffs with a freshman quarterback and ended up getting beaten in the regional final by Mayo 20-17, and Mayo won the state championship that year. So, Coach Wolford had left, uh, during a time where there was still a lot of talent in the program, a lot of size in the program, and we had a chance to win a state championship then. And I think that 19 and 20 were years that were a little leaner for us, a little tougher. Um, and the COVID year up here was really unique because um, we went to the state semifinals and still only played 9 games. So it was a difficult process for us, but we kind of got our foot on the ground in terms of getting students interested in coming to St. X and kind of growing a little bit of diversity that St. X really hadn't seen, and and it paid off for us. We won it in 21. I think we had the best team in the state in 22, and the unique thing about playing male, uh, since I've been here, more often than not, the team that is favored doesn't win. And in 21 we won the state championship. Male certainly had the best team in the state that year. They had beaten us in the regular season by 7, and then we won by 10 in the state championship game. And you flip it in 22, I don't think there's any doubt that we had the best team in the state, and they beat us in overtime in the 22 playoffs, and that was a huge disappointment for us. And we really, I wouldn't say we've gotten back on track since then. We had good things happen in 23 and 24, but we didn't finish the way we thought we should finish in either year. Last year was really disappointing because in early October we probably had the best team in the state, and we just had a few injuries, but that's not really the problem. We just we quit playing the way we needed to play to win against the highest level teams in the state, and really finished the year off in a sour note. And so when you failure makes you really examine yourself, especially in athletics. You examine everything you do, Adam, from off-season training programs to what you're doing in your conditioning programs. How the structure of what you're doing offensively and defensively, how does it fit your personnel? And I think it would have been real easy to retire at the end of last year, and walk away. But I just didn't want to leave after the way we finished the last month. And I hope this ends up being a better situation for us. No way on shape or form that we're favored to win a state championship. It's not like we're going to write a storybook and have it be an easy season and all that kind of stuff. But for my own satisfaction, I wanted to get to work and try to change some things and leave this thing better than I found it. And that was a difficult thing to do at Bowling Green because Coach Haley had that program in great shape. It was going to be a difficult thing to do here because Coach Wolford had, as I said, when I took over, it's not like he left. He left on a year where they had a chance, and and I certainly didn't want to feel like that I had let it slip. So I'm hopeful that 25 seasons is good as what it started so far in terms of our scrimmages. We played really well. We're a little thin. We got to stay injury free. We got to keep guys healthy. But I just think the chemistry of what we've got and uh, what we've done in terms of trying to develop leaders out of young men to try to change the culture of what we're going to how we're going to handle adversity.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing that's changed for me over the course of my career is how important I think it is to not just lead myself, but take a group of young people and try to teach them how to lead because it's uncomfortable.
Right.
It's uncomfortable for a coach to bring a guy in and tell him the truth of what the
Yeah.
evaluation of his talents are. And there's nothing that's ever enjoyable about that. And to get high school players to embrace the discomfort of encouraging or telling their teammates to kind of get in gear um, sets for a different culture, and it takes a different person to do it. And um, in the COVID, during COVID, our staff did a book study, and we have a tendency to do book studies, and we met like through Zoom every Sunday night, and we did the book Above the Line. It was an Urban Meyer book, and it's about their
Mhm.
championship season, but really, if you read the book and you study what it's about, there's a leadership group called Focus 3. And it kind of set me on a path to really studying a lot of the stuff that Focus 3 does. And it changed me as a person. I think it's made me a better father, a better coach, a better husband. Just going through the structure of how they do things, and it's kind of the base of what we do with our leadership council inside of our football program. And it is really neat for me to be involved in coaching and hear our players say things that are directly related to what we're talking about in that
Right.
leadership council. I had a wide receiver last week, and we're playing at Frederick Douglass, and he kind of didn't stem a route the right way against the coverage, and he came back and he started to tell me why, and then he looked at me and he kind of threw up his hands. He went, "No BCD, no BCD," and because he knew it was getting ready to come out of my mouth is no blame, complain, defend. You got to take accountability for what you're doing, and I think that book study and the thing I'm proud about is that even at my age at that time, that you can still learn and progress as a coach and kind of evolve. I think I coach in a much different fashion than when you played for me,
Mhm.
and I really do believe that the leadership piece coming from players, have a team be player led, not coaches fed. Because tomorrow night when we go out there and line up against Owensboro, in between those lines, I'm not going to be there. And that was kind of my speech this morning when we finished our walkthrough. All this training we've had to play football is important, but
Mhm.
all the training you've had to be able to lead each other is really important now too, because you're cut loose. The umbilical cord's cut. You're going to play and you're going to be out there and you're going to impact each other.
Yep, yep. I know we're kind of running up on time, but I wanted to touch on a couple more things. And you really just started nailing it. How has your faith impacted, what you do in coaching as far as raising young men and trying to get them to be the best version of themselves?
You want people at their core to be good people that will help others, and I think that sports does that. That's a better avenue than any other avenue that we have in our society, to watch how we bring cultures together and watch people who've never had anything common in their lives do something to help each other. And the locker room is when you turn on the TV today, and I was a political science major, so I always loved the political structure stuff, and I can't stand to watch it today because it's so divisive. It's so anti what we try to preach in a locker room, and it makes me want to push a button and make Nick Saban the president, or make him the Speaker of the House, or something like that. Try to bring people together, and I think that it's a special feeling when you take a group of people trying to all create all the energy they can have for a common goal, and knowing you're going to face adversity, because those things are foundations for young people that they're going to measure in life.
Right.
That problem you have as a parent, or that problem you have as an employer or as an employee, is going to parallel to some of the things that go on to with you in your high school sports career.
Yep. Real quick. When you took over St. X, you've been at Bowling Green 20 years. You know the elementary school kids. You know the middle school kids. How was it coming into St. X? And it's like, man, I need to learn, 150 kids' names right off the bat.
And that's what I said. The sheer scope of the program, and the fact that you have to openly go out and recruit. There are 31 Catholic elementaries in Jefferson County, and you're constantly going to CSAA games on weekends. And so it's not just the people that were already in your program, but you're trying to expose yourself to everybody that you can, so that the future is going to be laid for you. And that's unique. It was something that was totally different than anything I'd ever been accustomed to. And, I wouldn't say that it's something I've embraced with great joy. It's probably the thing that I find the most distasteful about working here is just the amount of time and energy and effort that goes into student acquisition.
Yeah. Well, certainly best of luck this season. I know y'all looking forward to a good season. Have a great team. But you got two top 10 kids in the state that are already committed to U of L that you know at linebacker and wide receiver looking like a promising season.
Yeah, and we got a junior kicker that looks a little bit like Adam Mercer, man, kicking the ball in the end zone, and and I think he's got a chance to be a prospect. Logan Seal is going to be a really good kicker for us, and nothing better in high school football having a guy who can put in the end zone because if you got a good defense, since the ball they can't run it out of the end zone, it's going to start at the 20, and we do our job defensively. We're going to start a lot of drives at midfield. So
Mhm.
I've been really lucky in my career to have good players and a lot of, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm most thankful for the relationships that I've been able to develop.
Absolutely. Just looking over your schedule, were the Eagles and the Chiefs not available? I mean, you've got Owensboro, Bowling Green, what Bowl County, Cincinnati Elder. Oh, good grief, Coach.
Yeah, we've got a little stretch. I mean, when you start, we go to week 9, I think, Adam, before we play a team that doesn't have a Division 1 offer player on their team. It's going to be a good challenge, but you're going to wake up every day and go to work because if you don't, somebody else is going to be gaining on you.
Real quick, what's your most memorable win at Bowling Green? Is it the first state title, or do you have a different game in mind?
The 2013 game against Blackman, I think would be a primary one, but it's just because the whole atmosphere of that game was different than anything I'd ever been involved with. They had Division 1 player after Division 1 player on the field, and our guys, man, they that was a great football team. That 13 team had some talent, but uh, we never played any better than we played that night.
Awesome. We I was just reminiscing with one of my friends the other day. 2001 state playoffs. We're second or third round, I can't remember, but we're playing Paducah Tillman. I think the score ended up being like 52-44 or something like that. And Aaron Johnson absolutely ran. I think he's still running. He ran
Yeah,
for like 10 miles.
yeah, and the problem was there's a guy that I still have nightmares about named Homer Maxwell. That was the Division 1 wide receiver for Paducah Tillman, and he did the same thing to us.
Yeah, well, luckily we came out on the higher end in that. So, uh, Coach, it's great catching up with you. I wish you all the best in your final season and your retirement. And I appreciate you catching up with me.
All right, thanks, Adam. And you got your Buccaneers shirt on. I have to give a shout out to Payne Durham, who played for my son Ryan at Purdue, tight end with the Buccaneers. So go Bucks!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go Bucks. Best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Have a good one.